Special editions can vary in type and quality, and I'm using the term to encompass several different labels like Deluxe Edition, Limited Edition, Signature Edition. Don't worry, we're going to break down all the differences, but here's the question. As wonderful as these editions are they helping or are they hurting our hobby? Howdy and welcome back. I'm Mike, your board gaming every dude, and this is the problem with special editions and a proposed solution. Just a couple months ago, I got a super cool email from Mache at Awaken Realms. He asked if I would be interested in looking at any of the games in their gaming library. I already own a good number of them, but I was very interested in the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. This was something I haven't seen Awaken Realms do before. A classic Euro with an Awaken Realms touch. What does that look like? Is it worth it? While waiting, I wanted to do a little research, as I've never played Castles of Burgundy. So I picked up the Anniversary Edition as it includes a solo mode, and I'm primarily going to be playing it solo. I noticed some problems that I wanted to bring out, as well as some good things, and I thought, you know what? I also have Rococo, the Deluxe Edition. I also have the Scarlet Pimpernel, Signature Edition. I have Robinson Crusoe, Collector's Edition. I've had the Palaces of Mad King Ludwig, Collector's Edition. And in all of these, I thought, we need to compare and contrast these. What are the pros and the cons of these deluxe special collector's editions coming out, and how's it all going to tie up in the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition for you? What's the problem with these, and can it be fixed? Spoilers up front, I have thoroughly enjoyed playing the solo mode of the Special Edition, and I have quite a few very good things to say about it. But before we get to that, we're going to approach this in a few chapters, and I really hope you stay with me through it. We're going to take a look at the editions, the differences, the definitions, the problem, the proposal, and of course, the final word. But real quick, let me tell you about my other love. Of course, you know I love board games. If you've been watching my channel, it is no secret, I also love clothes and style. So I was excited when Fiobach reached out and asked if I would try out one of their shirts and some of their jeans. For the shirt here, this is the Flex Knit Active Knitted Buttonless Polo. Say that 10 times fast. Anyway, I liked it because I wanted the texture. I like a collar that is open. I am not a buttoned up dude. I'm more of a 3 buttons down guy, but this is low enough for me. And it's the muscle fit, so it gets the biceps. For the jeans, I got the Move Masters stretch jeans. And as you can see here, I put it to the test. Would I be able to squat all the way down to get a box off of the floor and get back up? Bing, bing, boom. I did it, and the back of the pants didn't slide down like regular jeans do. I will absolutely continue wearing these. So if you're interested, you can use my code in the pinned comment and in the description below to get 20% off for yourself. Chapter 1. The editions. For Anniversary Editions, we're going to take a close look at the Castles of Burgundy 20th Anniversary Edition. That is not the 20th anniversary of the game. That is the 20th anniversary, I believe, of Alea Games. I hope I get that right, because I know it's Alea and Ravensburger. I'm going to say Alea. For the Signature Edition, we're going to take a look at the Scarlet Pimpernel. This is from Eagle Gryphon Games. For Collector's Editions, I've got Robinson Crusoe, the recently fulfilled Collector's Edition from Portal Games, and also Castles of Mad King Ludwig from Bezier Games. For Deluxe Editions, there's lots of choices, but I'm going to go with Rococo as our sample. And for Special Editions, and really the highlight of this video, we are going to look at the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition from Awaken Realms. Castles of Burgundy Special Edition was provided by the publisher. All of the rest I purchased independently, and this is not a sponsored video outside of the game was provided. And I wanted to show you what I was wearing, because I like clothes, and I think some of you do too. Chapter 2. The differences. You know, I was going to do this whole video without showing you my notes, but you know what? This is just my style, so let's keep it journalistic, shall we? Alright. 20th Anniversary Edition of Castles of Burgundy. So this was published in 2019. The original Castles of Burgundy published in 2011. I got pieces all over the place. Alright, we got a lot going on with this one. So, They included some graphical updates, including some updated art. They renamed some of the components. For instance, the player boards are now called chateaus, kind of sinking into that theme a little bit there. They included a double-sided board now, so that one side is used for solo and two-player, well, really two-player, maybe even 2 and 3 player, and then the other side is used for the full player count. It includes 10 of the previous expansions. Now, does that include... Yes, it does include the new expansion that they add to it, the Shields expansion. It also includes a one-player mode. Positives of this, I mean, if you love Castles of Burgundy, it's a one-stop shop, right? You don't have all the different boxes. You get all of those expansions together. That's great. Plus, you get a new expansion, Shields. Plus, if you want to play solo, you've got that. All those things are great. What were the negatives, though, of this Anniversary Edition? Well, one, if you own all those previous expansions, I guess it doesn't really matter, other than you may want the new art, right? Well, the art was a little bit of a disappointment. It really wasn't that beautiful. It was kind of more of the same from what I can tell. I have owned the previous version. I didn't play it because it didn't have the solo mode, but it's a little better. Still, not great art. The quality of the board, honestly, it warps. It doesn't lay flat. So would you buy this new if you had the previous version and some of the previous expansions? Well, you might if you want to play it solo. Is the solo mode worth it? Frankly, no. It's basically a timed puzzle, which, okay, it's worth it if you want a puzzle. But if you want to play Castles of Burgundy, no, because the solo mode cuts out several of the elements, including the trading of goods that you get to do in the multiplayer game. So what you have is you have 25 rounds to fill in as many spaces in your chateau, well, all the spaces in your chateau, actually, as possible. And of course, the faster you do it, the better your score, and then it becomes beat your own score. But it leaves out too much of the game to where I'm like, I might do this as a print-and play or something else, but I'm not playing Castles of Burgundy. My personal opinion. Some people love it as a timed puzzle. Signature editions, all right? So we're on our next one here, the Scarlet Pimpernel from Eagle Gryphon Games. Now, this one had a limited run. I mean, technically, all board games are limited runs, right? But I guess it's just a smaller number. So 2,500 copies were made. Each edition of this has a seal, a number, and the signature of the designer, I believe, on the board. I forget which number mine is. It's like number 200 something something with the designer's signature. Now, this one's interesting, though, in that this is the only edition of the game. The signature edition is it. You get the Scarlet Pimpernel signature edition. There is no other edition of the game. Positives, of course, is if you get the game, you get the signature edition. I don't know what else to say about that. There really aren't any negatives other than if you don't particularly enjoy the game, and a full review of the game really is for another video. In the definitions chapter, we'll look at some other signature editions to kind of see what other games do for that, but let's move on. If you enjoy these discussions, I thoroughly do, but please give a like, and if you would like to see more videos like this, also subscribe. I also do some Kickstarter previews, I do reviews, trying to do lives each month. I've gotten a few of those out. Come hang out with me. Collector's editions. Robinson Crusoe. I can't even get started on this. Okay, you know what? This is getting its own video. So we're not even going there. Okay, so let's go with Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which has left my collection, but it's a beautiful game, but the collector's edition again. So what did the collector's edition bring that was not in the original game? So first of all new upgraded artwork. It's got a dual-sided scoreboard so that you can adjust the shape based on your table space. So one of them's like a square and the other one is longer, more rectangular, or was it circular? It's been a while since I've set it up. It's like a river. It's like a river. Anyway, the square side is winter. It's very pretty. The other side is waterfalls. Oh my goodness. Okay, so game trays organization for quicker putting away and setting up. Okay, cool. We've got the Swan player markers were upgraded. They're nice and weighted. They added some new cards in the form of the King's Favors and what was the other? The bonus cards, a few of those. They included all the previously existing expansions, and they added, I believe the Towers expansion was new. to this collector's edition, and those were the 3D painted towers. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful. Listen, look, this is a stunning game. Absolute showstopper to look at. Added the Royal Decrees expansion as well. Made it possible to play with a 5th player, and of course it comes with the solo mode, but I believe the previous editions had that as well. So you can see as we get to collectors, we're kind of ramping up what's included, right? The signature seemed to be the most basic, and then the anniversary seemed to combine a bunch of stuff and some upgrades. Collectors, very similar, but just even like more upgraded, right? The problem with this is the multiplayer game looks fantastic. I haven't played it, so I'm not going to speak to it. The solo game was missing, kind of like the Anniversary Edition solo mode of Castles of Burgundy. It left out crucial elements of the multiplayer game for a simpler solo mode that doesn't really allow you to play ahead all that much. So in the Collector's Edition, that wasn't adjusted. So for me, it just wasn't worth keeping, other than it's absolutely beautiful. Multiplayer may be different, but that's one of the downsides, of course, to it, is they upgraded a lot of things, but they didn't upgrade the solo mode. And to be fair, they don't have to. It may not have originally been designed to be a solo game, but just if you can, it's nice. Look at how we're flying through this. We're already to our Deluxe Edition, Rococo. You know this is one of my favorite games, fantastic solo mode and all that. But anyway, what does it include that the original Rococo didn't include? One of those is a solo mode. It includes the Madame du Barry solo smart AI opponent. Fantastic solo mode. Absolutely challenging. They are, you get to do everything you get to do in the multiplayer game. No differences. But it also, of course, deluxifies the components, and oh boy, does it deluxify. Lovely little pieces of lace and the metal coin. The metal coins might be extra, actually. I believe that is a version, like you can add those onto it. If you buy just the box, it may not have the metal coins, so be cautious with that. But the thread and all the things are upgraded. The art is upgraded. It is absolutely beautiful to look at. Don't worry, I know there's problems, and that's what we're going to be discussing later, okay? But that's what is added to the game for solo. Really fantastic. Whoa! Price point really is, I would say, the only negative, and of course table space. Takes up a lot of table space. Let's go to our star of the show, special edition. I'm not moving the box because it's right there, and that is where it will stay, or I'm going to mess up my lights, and I really like that clean pink line. Isn't that cool? It makes me happy. All right, special edition of Castles of Burgundy. Look, all right, so 2019, the Anniversary Edition comes out. What on earth? Now we have a special edition? What's going on? Within Awakened Realms Touch. Okay, so they add miniatures of castles. Did they add anything else? And don't worry, we're going to get into the different pricings on the things. That's all in the problem and the solution. Okay, so they actually did quite a bit. So first of all, they did upgrade the art again. However, this is a much better upgrade. I will say some of the tile art, just the basic tiles, is still rather bland and lacking. I think it could do better, but the board, the colors are vibrant. They pop. The chateau, the colors are vibrant. I believe they actually upgraded the art in this edition, and I appreciate that. Now, it should be noted, I have the fully upgraded, so I've got the neoprene mat, I've got the acrylic tiles, and the acrylic hexes, I believe. I do not have the miniatures. So those are separate boxes. I just want to make that clear. But even the cardboard board, I have that, and it has the same vibrant colors and the same vibrant art, and the cardboard hexes and the cardboard tiles have the same art as the acrylic. It's just a different material. But they did upgrade it even in the basic game, your goods tiles. So they're these nice, it must not be acrylic, maybe they're plastic, but they're much better, right? And you get the metal coins and upgraded dice. All of that stuff is lovely, and this time I think it actually lands. That's great. If you just got the core pledge, right, then you get the towers. And I don't know if they're all sun-dropped. I didn't see an option where they weren't. So I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that they're all sun-dropped. And if you're unfamiliar with that, it's a special type of painting. So that instead of getting a gray mini, you do get like a nice painted and tinted shaded, though a simple painting for a nice textured castle. 4 different types. Okay, cool. Components are nice, and of course your player markers are upgraded with miniatures, as well as your little bridge place score thingies that we have Right there. The layout was upgraded as well. There are some spaces included for hexes, like the White Castle one that I don't recall being in the Anniversary Edition. Goods layout is vertical right here as opposed to the horizontal that it was in the Anniversary Edition. So some very welcome layout changes that just make the game flow better. And I don't want to mess up everything, but I like this inclusion they have of these plastic covers that you put on top of your chateau so that all of your tiles fit nicely in between. It's kind of like having a dual layer board. It's just another way to do it. Since the chateaus are all these player mats of a cardstock, I might get it back down there someday. I'll do it off camera. For now, we're going to deal with that, right? But anyway, they're player mats and they vary, so you can play on different types of chateaus, and then you put this on top so that you can always have a nice divider. I appreciate that. But beyond that, there were 2 expansions. They list it as 1 expansion. To me, it really is 2. Maybe one of them is just a remake. But anyway, you've got the Vineyards expansion, which you can see laid out up here. And that was actually designed, at least led by Stefan Feld, the designer of the Castles of Burgundy. I have not played with the Vineyards expansion yet, so I'm not going to speak to that. But it appears to be, and from what I hear, is a very solid expansion that you can also include in the solo mode. So I will be getting to that. Now, they also, I guess we'll call it an upgrade. They upgraded the solo mode, but it's such an upgrade and it's so different. That's why I think it's basically another expansion, the Chateauma solo mode. And this is designed, or at least led by David Turczi, who is just a fantastic solo game designer. He is known for some of his modes being a bit complex, so this is more complex than the Anniversary Edition solo mode, where you have no opponent, you're just filling out a puzzle. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you've played any Stonemaier game, if you've played Red Rising or Wingspan or Wormspan or anything where you have an AI deck, this is on the simpler to manage side of things, all right? You will need to read a few pages of rules. And always at first, that can be a little bit like, especially when it's David Turczi. It's kind of like, run for the hills. Don't run for the hills. It's completely manageable after you read those rules. That's why I haven't overwhelmed myself with the Vineyards expansion yet. I'm getting to it. Because I gotta read more rules, and I want to break. I love rules, but I want to break. Anyway, this Chateauma solo mode actually lets you use every single aspect of the game. I haven't found anything in the solo mode that's not in the multiplayer that I can tell yet. You are still completing for area control and for majority so that you get points. You are racing against a easily managed AI opponent. So appreciated. To me, that is the number, that and I think the layout, the fixed layout is what upgrades the actual gameplay. But enough of that. So we have looked at all of the different types of editions. Now let's look at how we can define these different editions so that we can identify the problem. Well, first of all, let's acknowledge there is no, that I'm aware of, industry standard, universally agreed definition for what type of edition you want to use. So these are all pretty loose, and I looked up several different games to see how other publishers were doing it, but here's kind of what I got in summary. So Anniversary Editions, generally, these combine all previous expansions up to that point. They may even refine the rules. You know, if there were some rules errors or some little tweaks that needed to be made here and there, nothing too major. They usually include something new, and usually in the form of a mini expansion, and some sort of artistic upgrade in some way, whether it's components or art. Signature editions, really, I mainly found this one in war games. Now, you saw with the Signature Edition of Scarlet Pimpernel, what was nice is very self-explanatory. It included a signature, and it was a limited run. That sort of defined it. With war games, what did I get? Honestly, it varied all over the place. Some of them just increased the collectability by adding the designer's signature. Some of them included deluxe components, gameplay changes. Like, when it comes to the war game, signature could be used in a whole lot of ways, and I couldn't really narrow it down to one thing. Which takes us to a similar issue with the collector's, deluxe, and special editions for non-war games, in that these are used very interchangeably, right? So the collector's edition usually includes everything that the anniversary edition, same with the special, you know, it includes everything prior to that edition being made. It upgrades art and components, and it includes more than an anniversary edition. So instead of a mini expansion, it may include a full-on expansion or seriously upgraded components. In some collector's editions, what I appreciated is they made it more like a collector's edition, where maybe it included an art book, something that's not essential. If you own the older game, you're not missing out on any gameplay, you're just getting more collectability. But in general, they add some new kind of gameplay to it. Deluxe editions are all over the place, from just deluxifying components and not adding any art or gameplay changes, to something like Rococo, where it adds a full-on new smart AI solo mode. I was told once in a theater class that theater is kind of like don't worry, this is going somewhere. Stay with me! Theater is the grandfather of the different forms of live arts, right? Or of the arts, because it combined acting and music and performance, all these things, set design, all those things together with live performance. I kind of feel like that's what this special edition seems to be from what I've been looking at. It seems to be the grandest of all the editions. But again, it's loose and interchangeable with collectors. So let's talk about the problem. If these games are so great and I love them so much, what kind of problem could there be? Well, one is the looseness of the definitions, of course, but this is super minor. It would be nice if we had some uniformity to how we label different things, and maybe there is, and I'm just not catching it. So if there is, please let me know in the comments. But I would call that a minor inconvenience, not a super big problem. What's the problem with the Anniversary Edition that we looked at? Well, the real problem with that, and I think Grand Austria Hotel ran into this problem as well, in my opinion, when they did their reprint with, the upgrades and things like that. And the upgrades were actually stickers that you put on the pieces, which, whatever. The problem is a bit of a disappointment in the quality of that edition. Now, the nice thing is, like in the case of Castles of Burgundy Anniversary Edition, it's a lower price. But for a proposed upgrade renewal, it just disappointed. And I believe that's why they had to make a special edition. Another problem I see is solo modes locked behind a higher price point. I don't believe this is intentional. So let me be clear on this. I am not a publisher, and I am not an enemy of I'm not an enemy of anybody in this hobby. So I don't know the finances and the realistic saleability and profitability, because you have to make profit to survive as a business. This hobby requires business. We all understand this. I don't know the profitability of making a solo mode available outside of these. But here's the problem is, if you want to get the solo mode for Rococo, you're going in over $100, right? If you just want to play the game solo and you're happy with the previous edition, well, that's a high price point to be able to play a one-player mode when that's become such a staple anymore. Castles of Burgundy actually cheaper. I think it's running. It ran at $95 for the core pledge. Now, it really upgraded everything. So again, I got a lot of positives there, but I don't like that. If I was happy with the quality of the Anniversary Edition, it's totally playable, and I just want a good solo mode. Well, the way that the solo mode is provided in the special edition, it could be made available without dropping $95 for a game that you already have. Disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. That's totally fine. But I think that's a problem. Locking full expansions, mini expansion may be more arguable, but a full expansion like the Vineyards expansion and full-on solo modes behind having to rebuy the higher priced game. And also, when there is too much included, but at the same time, not necessarily too much of the right thing. So it's too much and not enough. And that would be Robinson Crusoe, which we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're going there in another video. We're not doing Robinson Crusoe. I can't do it. I can't do it. And we're back. And we're back, and we're back, and we're moving. Okay. What else do I got here in my notes? Oh, yeah. Okay. when the design isn't improved where it's needed. And this is the case with Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So that's the collector's edition, included wonderful things, higher price point, all that, but it didn't improve something that it needed to improve on the gameplay. That's a problem with some of these editions. So here is my proposal. And before I get into this proposal, as all of you know, what's my tagline? You're board gaming every dude. All right. Part of that is to, yes, push all responsibility off of my shoulders because it stresses me out. But it's also deep in my belief. I don't know what's going on, right? Y'all know more than me. I present things. I'm learning, but I am not a publisher. In fact, I would love to have a publisher. If you're a publisher watching this, an indie publisher, a major publisher, and you would love to come on and discuss some of the ins and outs of the profitability, difficult decisions that you have to make as a publisher and as a lover of the hobby, because our publishers love the hobby, right? That's been made pretty clear. They're people that play games. What are the hard decisions you have to make? So in my proposal, I'm acknowledging my complete ignorance of the understanding of profitability and saleability, or whatever we want to call it. ROI, if too many Instagram ads pop up in these random dudes, ROI in your funnel, whatever. Okay, I'm acknowledging my ignorance. Nonetheless, I have some basic understanding. So here's my proposal. First of all, that we agree to some form of a definition as a community. Is that possible? Look at Board Game Geek. Nearly anything is possible if enough people vote on it, right? We won't get into the top 10, top 100 issues with that, but here we go. My proposal for a definition of the signature edition. If we want to use signature edition, let's make it a small, one-time print run. I really like that. So you are getting something special. This is going to appeal to collectors. So that's kind of the solution, is to make it so that the game, the playable game, is available to many people without locking them out of being able to play the whole game. Then when we add collectability factors, well, that's special. That's if we're a little deeper in the hobby, if we have the money to burn. But let's not lock people out, right? So, signature edition, include something like a signature. Now, when it goes to war games, I can't approach that. I need an expert in that, because that is its whole subgenre. But also, since it's signature, let the game or the art be modified by the lead designer or the lead artist, as it's their signature thing, and then they can sign it. Super cool, super simple. All right, that's my proposal there if one decides to make a signature edition board game. Collector's edition, please make it collectible, okay? A collector's edition means that you probably already have the base game, and you are okay with replacing that with a collectible version. So make it collectible. Add variant, like a variant box cover or something. Maybe 2 different box covers. One's the original, one's the variant. Maybe add an art book. Detective City of Angels didn't come out with a collector's edition, but it did come out with an art book. So if they made a collector's edition, I would expect that art book maybe to be an addition to it, right? Something similar to what video games kind of do with their pre-orders, which actually is a hot mess right now. Let's not get into that. But of course, add all the previous things, include all of the gameplay that's already available and accessible to players that just can't afford the base game. And then those that can afford and want to collect, just add collectibles, please. Would gamers buy that, or do they require that a new mode, a new expansion be added on? Here's my problem with that, and why I propose we don't do that, because then others are forced into paying the higher dollar amount for something that may be beyond their means for a gameplay thing, not something that is a collectability factor. Are you kind of seeing the pattern in my proposal here? If it's collectors, add collectability. Leave the game accessible to many. Is there a way to profit like that? Please let me know. Anniversary editions, basically on the anniversary, could fall into any one of these categories. That seems the most flexible one to me. It's the anniversary of something, the company or the game. And so as an anniversary edition, you kind of get to choose whatever you want there, but the same rules would apply. I would just propose that the game be left accessible at a moderate, regular price point for everybody, and the collectability be added on for the higher priced game. Now, special edition proposal. I feel this is similar to the Anniversary Edition and is the most accessible, and they're almost interchangeable. I'm realizing as I'm talking about this, right? The Anniversary Edition, the Special Edition, is just a matter of timing. To make it anniversary means it happens at a certain time. Special Edition can happen anytime. But here, I understand that you're adding more than collectability. Okay, I understand that. So this is a time to add everything that was previously there. But if you want to add a new mode, add a new mode. Here's the only thing that I ask. If it's something like the Vineyards expansion, it's from Stefan Feld, right? He helped design this expansion. Can it be profitable? Can it be possible to make that available outside of the special edition? If you own the base game and you just want to add that expansion, can you make that available? Same thing if you add a fully upgraded solo mode that actually works like a solo mode. Although, look, I love Beat Your Own Score. I love the puzzle thing. I don't mean to downplay that. I just don't like that that's not what Castles of Burgundy is, right? That wouldn't bother me if there's a solo mode where you're just building a puzzle, but that's what the game is, totally fine. But if the game of Castles of Burgundy is interaction and you know, Anniversary Edition solo mode has no interaction, no opponent, well, you just made it a different game and a lesser game, and I don't like that. So all I ask is if you add something like Shatoma to the special edition, is it possible? Is it possible to make that available separately? For example, this is a cardstock map and cardstock for the cards and no special, whoa, knocking stuff over, no special components. So this could be available, in this case, on the publisher's website, the Awakened Realms publisher's website. This is what I propose. As you have a whole download section, right, where you sometimes have upgrades, even full game boards that people can print out. Could you make the Shatoma available as print and play? And I understand that you may need, because you had to use such a good designer, David Turczi, for this, it may cost something. So if there needs to be an appropriate charge to download the PNP files, that seems to be standard. That's fine. But please, make it available so if you have the older editions, you can play these separate expansions. Then, if someone wants the whole shebang, go for it. Go for it. And honestly, the price point of this is very reasonable. $95 for a special edition. I'm fine with that. I just don't want players locked out of gameplay that can be made available separately. That's my proposal. What do you think? The final word, my final thoughts on Castles of Burgundy, the special edition. This review is based on playing the game solo with the Shatoma opponent and not including the Vineyards expansion. Gameplay-wise, fantastic. Absolutely enjoyed it, and I did not enjoy when I played the Anniversary Edition. So in this one, your AI opponent is actually not just taking tiles away, which is what happens in the Anniversary Edition. They are taking tiles from the board and putting it on their own chateau spots, right? So they are building up points over here where they fill up a card based on a dice roll that determines what they pick from the board, and then they place it. They may even get bonuses for it. They earn points as they gain these things, but they also battle for area control or area majority, right? So in the multiplayer game, you are racing, say, to fill up all the yellow hexes in your chateau. And if you do that first, then you get to take this tile and it gives you bonus points for being the first one to get there. And if you're the second one to finish up, then you get those points. Well, your AI opponent, the Shatoma, is competing with you. So you get to take part in that. So you are racing to fill up all of one color before they fill up all of one color. They also have reserve tiles. They use wilds. They interact with the black market. All of that stuff happens. And then you get to play just according to the base rules and do everything. You get to collect goods. You get to trade those goods. You get money. You get to spend your money to buy stuff. It's great. And then if you have the money and you play with Vineyards, you can buy Vine things. Gameplay, absolutely fantastic. If you want to play it solo, to me, this is required. Upgraded components. Again, I have the acrylic upgrades, but even without that, the cardboard upgrades, it's a thicker cardboard than the Anniversary Edition. So if you just want the upgraded art, absolutely lovely. The board seems to be, and of course the Atoma cards are new, so that's not really an upgrade, that's just new. The towers are absolutely stunning, all the pieces. Quality's great. The only negative is just those hex tiles are still, I would say, you can do better. Vineyard expansion looks lovely. I'm not including that in here. If I get to playing that, then let's talk about that one in the future. Storage is fantastic. Even during the game, it's not really storage, but these bags to hold the tiles, the little hexes like this, really saves a lot of time. And I keep those in there. I keep them in there and I put them in the box so that you don't have to like lay all these different piles of tokens out. Because I tell you, setting up the Anniversary Edition takes a long time. This still takes some time, but nowhere near. And a lot of that is thanks to these little baggies. Getting things in the box, there's spots marked all over. It's pretty easy. Art, we've talked about. The colors make more sense. They pop, and the layout is more logical. Everything is easy to reach for when you're playing solo. I can see it being very easy to reach when you're playing multiplayer as well. And it doesn't really matter what side you're sitting on. There isn't a true upside down to the board, other than the numbers on the round track. But really, I'm just knocking things over. This is what I do. I just knock things over. I used to get in trouble for gesturing too much as a child. Anyway, yeah, the round track is really the only thing if you were sitting on the other side that would be upside down. That's fine. Is it worth $95? You betcha. Absolutely. But please, please, make the solo mode and the Vineyard expansion available outside of this, if at all possible. Thank you so much. I love you all. I'll see you next time.